This program is proudly brought to you by Sportingbet.
Hello punters and welcome to Chewing the Fat. Well, last week it didn't all go according to script, and I'm not talking about just us three up here. A few of the favourites, Manawanui, Streamer, Helmet, Machine, all bit the dust. But thankfully, our special guest in the studio, Troy Corstens, saved all our bacon by steering us into Under the Hat, who was a very impressive winner at Flemington. Today, we're lucky enough to be joined in the studio by Steph Grentel, the breeding expert who will not only help find you a winner at Caulfield 2 on Saturday, but who knows, might even be able to steer you into owning the next Black Caviar. No money back guarantee though. Speaking of Black Caviar, she's not going around at Caulfield on Saturday in the Futurity Stakes. Obviously everyone's a little bit disappointed, but turning a negative into a positive is that now we have not only an open Futurity Stakes, but each horse is going to get their share of the limelight. Speaking of getting the limelight, I'm joined in the studio by co-hosts Natalie Hunter and Edward Sadler. How are you guys?
Where's my title gone, Nick? He's the co-host. What am I?
Co-host. Co-host.
Oh, good. I think you said I was going to give Nick a rap there, but he was a bit mean to me in the intro. But he did do very well last week. His tipping feats are improving all the time. Not only did he win the tip against Nick thing, which he's not supposed to do, but he steered us into that to the one.
He did.
Got over the top of Helmet. Quinny said that if you wanted to back the horse for the Guineas, get on before Saturday, and he was right. The horses come in from $41 into $7 for the Guineas.
Oh.
So most of them would be Quinny's money anyway, but it's still a decent plunge.
You can't eat odds though. I don't like the fact everyone's pumping it up because obviously it hasn't won the race. So I can see me standing there at Flemington on Super Saturday just going, I've got overs here, but the horse has still got to win. And as everyone knows, it's a lot easier said than done to win those feature races.
But the way last Saturday panned out, it definitely throws open the Guineas wide open. You know, we thought it was going to be Helmet should win, Machine's the best filly, but probably won't be good enough. But both of them have went down last week. It really throws it open for that. The one of the circles was also impressive, a horse that you were potting last week.
And it didn't win, so I was right. Now, Nat, you were saying off air you think that Black Caviar will head to the Goodwood Handicap in Adelaide. You've already booked your accommodation over in South Australia.
I have, but I'm really looking forward to hearing from Steph, as you said, who's coming up after the break, because I would love to own the next Black Caviar. How cool would that be?
That'd go well with the handbag.
Oh, it'd be great.
Yeah.
We'll just get your credit card out and we'll get that done.
I'd just get travelling the world.
Yes, well, that's something you've become very accustomed to with your worldwide travels.
I wish.
Well, as we said, we're going to take a break now. Remember, you're watching Chewing the Fat thanks to Sportingbet, and when we return, we'll be joined on the couch with Steph Grentel.
Sportingbet is built by punters for punters, so you get the very best experience. At Sportingbet, you can expect more from the latest in customised betting with black books, favourites and iForm. Plus, Sportingbet covers all the exotics, including trifectas, quinellas, exactas and first four. Bet fast online or at sbet.mobi on your mobile, anytime, anywhere. That's why there's no better bet than a Sportingbet.
Summer is more than just barbecues. It's Caulfield Summer Racing. Don't miss the Patnack Farm Blue Diamond Stakes, 3 Group 1 races, Blue Diamond Fashion Stakes, and see Black Caviar Farewell Melbourne. Caulfield Summer Racing. Book now.
Welcome back to Chewing the Fat. It gives me great pleasure now to extend a very warm welcome to Steph Grentel. Steph, how are you?
Very well. Thank you for having me on again.
Oh, thank you for coming, and what an exciting time to have you on with Inglis. This is probably one of the most exciting times of the year to be working, I'm guessing.
Certainly is. It's definitely our grand final for the Melbourne office. Obviously, we've still got Easter coming up, and that's the grand final for all of us. But down here in Melbourne, it's the most important time of year.
Now, this Saturday, you've got one of your graduates, Samaretti, favourite for the Blue Diamond. How exciting is that?
Very, very exciting. We thought we were good contenders last year for the Blue Diamond, but the opposition brought us undone. But this year, I think Samaretti will will come through. She's a pretty smart filly. We've also got other runners in there. Real Stolly was a Yearling graduate, Armed for Action Easter, Fire Thunderbolt Classic, and also Formidable from Classic, which has paid the late entry. So you've got to take note there if they're paying the late entry fee.
So a decent hand from the Melbourne Premier side lining up on Saturday then.
Yes, we've got a couple of good runners in the Futurity actually, in Pinker and Bigelow.
And Pinker obviously won the Cox Plate last year, so it would have done the entire team proud to see one of the ex-graduates win the Premier race in the Southern Hemisphere.
Absolutely, we couldn't be more thrilled. She's a real class filly and she was a lovely yearling at the time. We always go back and look at our notes when horses come out and win big races, and I actually gave her a few big ticks. She was a really good yearling. We've had some fantastic graduates, obviously Black Caviar. I mean, we just, ride her coattails, I think, forever and a day. She was our 2008 graduate. We've got Igugu, who's obviously the champion filly in South Africa, Star Spangled Banner, and the list goes on.
Do you have notes? You mentioned you'd make notes on the yearlings. Have there been horses that you've made notes on and perhaps potted and then they've come out and proved you wrong?
Well, Igugu, she's not our typical sort of horse over here. She was quite light-framed, light-boned at the time, but that's really a South African type horse. I certainly didn't mark her down, but she's, obviously we look for different things for horses here, and I sort of marked her about average.
Now, I've got the English Bible here with everything you need to know about all the horses if you're trying to get involved and whatnot. And one horse that jumped out at me was lot 478 at one of your upcoming sales, a full brother to Sacred Kingdom.
Yes, he is the real deal. He's the whole package. He's got the pedigree, he's got the looks, everything's going right, and he's my tip to top the sale. So if there's any markets out there for that, I'd be backing him.
How much do you reckon he might fetch?
Look, if he made $500,000, I certainly wouldn't be surprised. Wouldn't shock me at all. We've got Ricky Yu actually went out there and looked at the horse last year when he was a foal at foot, so he's made no secret that they're very interested. He's a real, Australian Hong Kong type of horse. He's up and he'll run early. That's
Nick,
for sure.
don't have a bet on Saturday and just buy this horse. That's the average bet for a Saturday for you anyway.
It was very generous of Peter Hegney to offer me a 5% share, so I might have to get back to him and take that up. But now there's probably a lot of people sitting at home today going, I'd love to have a share in a horse. I'd love to go and buy a horse at the sales. But to your average punter, it's probably something that you don't know how to do. How do you go about getting involved in a horse?
Well, on Sunday we're holding an open day, which we're having a seminar for first-time yearling buyers. We ran it in Sydney and we had such a fantastic response. We filled up the Newmarket room, and people just Jonathan Darcy talking about how to get involved, how the sale runs, how to speak to trainers, syndicators, just basically anything to do with the yearling sale. We go through it, and we had a really fantastic response. People were very positive about it, so we've decided to do it down here in Melbourne as well. On the same day, we'll be drawing the Sunday Herald Sun, winner share on a racehorse competition. That's obviously run in conjunction with us. And John Sadler will be the trainer this year. So we're very excited to once again be involved in that. So basically, the story is they've got up to $100,000 to spend. Inglis will pay for the 10% and 2 years training and insurance for the lucky winner.
That's very exciting.
Just one thing you also mentioned too that probably puts people off is the cost. Horse racing is known as a sport of kings, and people basically assume they have to be a king to afford a horse. But with syndications and those sort of things, it can be pretty cheap actually.
Absolutely, couldn't agree more. There's affordable ways to get involved in horse racing. I mean, if you're a novice, the best way to go is into a syndicate or speak to a trainer. And if they're buying a horse, say, look, I'd like to take a slice of something of 10%, 20%, 5% even if you like. You certainly don't have to spend a fortune to be involved. You can, speak to some of these local country trainers, and they're only just too grateful to have more people involved.
And what's the process for Inglis as far as preparing for these sales?
Oh goodness, we start in August last year. That's when our entries close for the yearling sales, and we begin our inspections. So we spend the next sort of 3 or 4 months doing on-farm inspections and selecting for the catalogue. And
with the Blue Diamond, is that the grand final every time you do pick out an up-and-running 2-year-old prospect? Is the Blue Diamond and the Golden Slipper just the be-all and end-all?
Look, I mean, I think here in Australia we like horses to be able to run early and show something, but then also train on, which is obviously a very hard thing to do, but that's what we look for. We don't want one-dimensional horses that are just going to stop at, after Christmas and never run again. So you sort of look for that horse that you think's got a bit of scope as well.
Now you've got the sales coming up and obviously the dates that we've just discussed, the seminars and whatnot. Have you got any specific dates where you might be able to suggest people make sure
Yeah.
you're free on this particular day.
Obviously Sunday to come out. We've got a couple of trainers talking as well. We're going to have Colin Little and John Maloney up on stage talking about what they look for in a yearling, and we'll also have a panel talking about black caviar. So we'll have Peter Moody, Peter Hegner, who sold the horse, and a couple of the owners, Pam Hawkes and David Taylor. The other dates are next week, so the 27th of February through to the 1st of March is our Melbourne Premier Sale, and in April from the 10th to the 12th of April is our Easter Sale, and that's obviously, you know, that's probably one of the biggest sales in the world, and certainly the biggest sale in the Southern Hemisphere.
Do you have a tip for the Blue Diamond? You mentioned you've got Sam already, real stylish, formidable. Are you going with one of the English Premier graduates, or
I'm going to go
somewhere
with
else?
Samaretti, I think. I don't think anything will beat her. I certainly think Matt Laurie's runner, the Travelling Man, that's my Cornella for the day. I thought he was super impressive when he won.
Well, you've pinched my form, guy. That's what I was going to do. You've given Will Step. That's absolutely outstanding. It's very exciting. It just goes to show how accessible owning a horse is in this day and age in Australia. We're so lucky we can do that. So thank you very much for joining us on the couch, and we wish you all the best for the upcoming sales.
Thank you very much. Hope to see you out there.
We're going to take a break on Chewing the Fat. When we return, we're going to find you a winner at Caulfield this Saturday.
Sporting Bet is built by punters for punters, so you get the very best experience. At Sporting Bet, you can expect more from the latest in customised betting with black books, favourites and iForm. Plus, Sporting Bet covers all the exotics, including trifectas, quinellas, exactas and first four. Bet fast online or at sbet.mobi on your mobile, anytime, anywhere. That's why there's no better bet than a Sporting Bet.
Annie Gugu won't be denied. She gets up doing it.
Star Spangled Banner still just in front and won the Darley July Cup.
But the King's back in his throne, Sacred Kingdom.
And she won it. Pika won the Cox Plate. The invincible one. Black Caviar won it by 3.
Find your next champion at the English Premier Yearling Sale. Oaklands, Melbourne, February 27 to March 1.
Summer is more than just barbecues. It's Caulfield Summer Racing. Don't miss the Patnack Farm Blue Diamond Stakes, 3 Group 1 races, Blue Diamond Fashion Stakes, and see Black Caviar Farewell Melbourne. Caulfield Summer Racing. Book now.
Since its inception in 1971, the Blue Diamond Stakes has seen many great sprinters take the win and go on to even further success. This 2-year-old race began over 6 furlongs and in 1973 was converted to a 1,200 metre race with the introduction of the metric system. It wasn't though until 1980 that it was elevated to Group 1 status and is now Victoria's richest and most prestigious race for 2-year-olds. Many great champions hold claim to the Blue Diamond, including Manicato, Redout's Choice, one of Australia's favourite stallions, the sire of Black Caviar, Bellesprit, and of course we can't forget Sepoy, who took the win last year and then went on to win a Golden Slipper in Sydney. The question on everybody's lips is who will take home the Patnack Farm Blue Diamond Stakes this year? Will Dwayne Dunn continue his dominance and make it number 5? Will one of the David Hayes runners run home and make it number 6 for David? Or will Mick Price redeem himself after being stripped of the crown in 2003? Can't wait for Saturday to see whose name will be etched in the history books of the Blue Diamond.
Welcome back to Chewing the Fat. The feature race on the cards at Caulfield this weekend is the Patnack Farm Blue Diamond Stakes over 1,200 metres for 2-year-olds. The Mick Price trained Samaretti was very impressive in winning the Blue Diamond Prelude, and punters are convinced that she's the one to beat. Okay, let's have a look at the market. Samaretti at $2.10, the Travelling Man at $10, and Jamando at $11. Boys, what did you think?
It's very hard to go past Samaretti. She was brilliant at Caulfield last start. I really like horses that can sit off the speed and then come with a run and finish strongly, because obviously the Preludes are won by the speedy squib types who then don't stack up in the main races, but she sat off the speed, hit the line hard. She's clearly the one to beat. I've got her on top, and I know in these big races punters like to take exotics and novelty bets, whatnot. I've got Samaretti on top. I've got the Travelling Man for second. I thought he was very impressive last start because, yes, he led, but he led, settled, and then was strong again at the finish, and I think that's imperative for a race like this. For third, I've got the Second Emergency, Mrs. Gray. Obviously, need 2 scratchings to get in, but it's $71 on the fixed odds, I think is a tremendous chance. And for fourth, despite the wide draw, I've got Jamando. I think the wide draw might be a mixed blessing because he's going to have to go back to last and come with one run, which I think he'll be better suited for doing.
I agree. I can't see anything really beating Samaretti unless she gets a bad run in transit, but she's drawn pretty well. Mick Price was happy with how she drew at the barrier draw. She ran better time than what they did in Colts and Gelding's division of that race, and she was very impressive with the way she won. I also like General Ripper, though. He's my roughie for the race. Look, the first couple of furlongs in that race, he looked like he had absolutely no idea what he was doing, just his action, the way he ran, and then he finished it off terrifically. I think he'll really improve from the experience. He's a definite 2-year-old to follow, and I definitely think he can run a place on Saturday.
All right, and I've gone with a bit of an outside chance. I've gone with Mama's Choice because she'll have Blue Diamond specialist Dwayne Dunn on board, and I think it's good value at $17. Although I heard you just talk about a horse that was at $71.
Yeah, well, you can't eat odds, as we've touched on, but you backed Mama's Choice last start at $35 when she won that, so you can't jump off now, can you?
Thing.
Correct.
All right.
And Nick's also betting on Mrs. Gray actually making the field in the first place.
Well, that's true.
Well, you get your money back, though. If you back the second emergency and it doesn't get a run, you get your money back, so there's no damage done.
All right, so let's recap those tips. So I've gone with Mama's Choice. Nick, you've gone with Samaretti. Steph also went with Samaretti. And Edward, you did too.
Samaretti, so
there we go.
3 against 1, but you could prove us all wrong now.
Hopefully.
Well, Steph would be out of a job if she didn't tap Samaretti, wouldn't she?
Worries me that Steph's gone with Samaretti and I didn't, because she really sounds like she knows what she's talking about.
As opposed to Edward and I.
Moving right along. Okay, let's move on to another one of our Group 1 features, the Cathay Pacific Futurity Stakes over 1,400 metres, where Cox Plate winner Pinka Pinka begins her autumn campaign against New Zealand champ King Mufasa. All right, let's take a look at the markets. Starting off with King Mufasa at $2.70, Pinka Pinka at $3.80, and Playing God at $5. Nick?
Probably not a vintage edition of the Futurity, I think it must be said, with Black Caviar not racing, though. The positive side is it's now very open and a very good punting race. King Mufasa is going to be terribly hard to beat, but I think $2.70 on this horse with a feature race at Caulfield is very skinny. At the odds, I'm going to be backing Bigelow at $21 on the fixed odds each way. I thought this horse hit the line nicely last Saturday. Will be better for the run. Yes, it's a big rising class, but there's no superstars here, and I think could be the one at odds.
Like Juice Bigelow, the male gigolo.
It's got nothing to do with it, Natalie, and can you please get your mind out of the gutter for once?
It kind of reminds me, though, of Nick Quinn, that movie, actually, just his life.
So true. It's like it was written about him.
I think it was. We might have to watch the credits again, see if his name pops up.
I think so.
Look, there's that many options, just getting back to what you touched on before, for horses at that distance, that it's no wonder that the Futurity has sort of turned out to be a lesser race than what we thought it would be a couple of weeks ago. I'm going for King Mufasa. I liked his win in the Toorak. He turned his Australian hoodoo over in that race, and he's got better form in New Zealand against a horse like Wall Street, who's the 3rd or 4th elect in the race. Pinka Pinka. She was good first up at her first couple of starts last prep, but I think King Mufasa might be a little bit too strong over the 1,400. Looking forward to, say, Pinka Pinka getting out to the 1,600 plus.
Okay, well, I've gone with Pinka Pinka, so my fingers are crossed there, coming off her good win last time. Okay, so let's recap. I've gone with Pinka Pinka. Nick, you've gone with Bigelow. Steph's gone with Pinka Pinka as well. That's good news.
The girls sticking together.
Yeah, we are. And Edward, you've gone with King Mufasa. We'll continue our preview of Melbourne's races after this break, but before we go, here's what some of the jockeys and trainers involved in this weekend's sporting bet Oakley Plate had to say about their chances.
Wall Street is his first start for you in the Futurity.
Yeah, look, we're happy with the way he's going. He's quite big in condition to look at, but look, he's had enough sort of work and that under his belt, I think. He's had a couple of jump outs. He's gone really well. Ollie's come here and sort of done them both times and been really happy with them. Horse looks bright and well, and really happy with him going to his first run.
You ride Pinka Pinka also on Saturday. They're not 100% sure what race they won her in, but must be pretty happy Cox Plate winner returning.
Yeah, I believe she's going to the Futurity, and she's going really well. I trialled her at Cranbourne under lights. She didn't have the blinkers on, went really well, worked on Monday. They're very happy with her, so looking forward to her stepping out. She's very effective. We saw any horse that wins a Cox Plate's effective, but she's also a very good horse, fresh, and Greg's decided to run her first up over 7 furlongs where she can nearly win a 6 furlongs, so I think that's a really good indication to how she's going.
Summer is more than just barbecues. It's Caulfield Summer Racing. Don't miss the Patnack Farm Blue Diamond Stakes, 3 Group 1 races, Blue Diamond Fashion Stakes, and see Black Caviar Farewell Melbourne. Caulfield Summer Racing. Book now.
Sporting Bet is built by punters for punters, so you get the very best experience. At Sporting Bet, you can expect more from the latest in customised betting with black books, favourites and iForm. Plus, Sporting Bet covers all the exotics, including trifectas, quinellas, exactas and first four. Bet fast online or at sbet.mobi on your mobile, anytime, anywhere. That's why there's no better bet than a Sporting Bet.
Welcome back to Chewing the Fat. Race 6 at Caulfield is the Sporting Bet Oakley Plate at Group 1 level over 1,100 metres. A big field of 18 horses line up in this race, with champion 3-year-old Sepoy the favourite, despite the big weight that he will be carrying. OK, let's have a look at the market. Sepoy at $2.80, Bell Sprinter at $3.10 and First Command at $15. Nick?
Look, it's a cracking race, and to be honest, it's probably the best Oakley Plate field I've ever seen. Every horse has got credentials, got merits, and any other year they'd be starting a lot shorter than what they're going to start this Saturday. Personally, I'm very keen on Bell Sprinter. I thought he was enormous first up. He was fat as a house. He needed the run, and he still won in a magnificent way. He smashed the clock that last few hundred metres, so after as much as $4 was bet, I think Bell Sprinter's clearly the one to beat. I'm going to be backing him, and I'm also going to have a saver on African Pulse, the very promising Mike Moroney galloper, at about the $15 mark. So they'll be the two I'll be backing in the race.
Good.
Look, I reckon Sepoy's something special. The only issue for me is the weight. Forced to carry 58 kilos. Fastnet Rock had to break a weight-carrying record in 2005 when he won it with 57 kilos. Now, it's anyone's guess who you rather, Fastnet Rock or Sepoy. You can talk about that at the pub. But look, he's a pretty special horse, Sepoy. The weight's the only concern. And I'm going to have something each way, Curtana. She likes Caulfield. She finished behind Sepoy in the Caulfield Sprint on Caulfield Cup Day. Big turnaround in the weights, though, since then. And I think she's definitely an each way chance in the race.
The thing that worries me about Sepoy is obviously the weight is a massive concern. But the other big concern for mine is his grand final is overseas this campaign. Is this just going to be a run? Obviously, you don't think so because you're tipping him. But I'm just thinking, how fair dinkum are they this Saturday? Would they be happy if he ran a nice race before going to run in Dubai for the big riches over there?
I think they want him rock hard, fit and ready to go when they get to Dubai. And he's only, he's running here, he's running in Dubai. And then there's a decent break to Royal Ascot. So you've really got to think of it as two separate campaigns. This one here and then in 3 or 4 months' time at Ascot. So this is only a 2-run campaign. I know the trip over there will take something out of him. But no, I think he'll be ready to go on Saturday. Weight's the only concern. I don't think that's an issue, the grand final. I think more's being made out of that than needs to be.
Well, we've got the Natalie Hunter Wonder Woman doll here. I'll have a little
side bet with
you. A little side bet with you that Bell Sprinter beats home Sepoy and the winner gets to take that home for the week.
No, I don't like anyone taking that home for the week. I like to be there where I can see it.
I think it'd be a bit weird me taking a doll of my cousin home, so
Yeah,
you
we're
can
cousins.
cape it.
I'm being good and not commenting.
What do you guys think of Eagle Falls? I really like Eagle Falls. It won its last start.
Last year's winner, he's come back better than what he did last year, but they flew out in front last year, and I really think that helped his chances. But in saying that, the Oakley Plate, they do go pretty quickly in front. So, look, he's definitely one of the main hopes. You've got Sepoy and Bell Sprinter, and then you can really rattle off 6 or 7 other names as to who else there is.
And I think the fact that he's the current odds that he is, Eagle Falls, just shows how strong the race is. Because any other year, he'd be close to favourite. He's a last start winner, and he won the race last year.
And he's at $21.
Yeah, so.
All right, cool. Let's recap our tips for this race then. So I've gone with Eagle Falls. Nick, you've gone with Bell Sprinter. Steph has gone with African Pulse. And Edward, you've gone with Curtana.
As my each way pick, but Sepoy to win.
Good, right. Okay, I was
Just
going to
clearing
say,
that up for you.
just pumped up Sepoy and now we've got Curtana here. So
Yep.
you've gone both. Finally, race 8 on the card is the Group 2 Peter Young Stakes over 1,800 metres, formerly known as the St George Stakes. Now, this is one of the big lead-up races to the Australian Cup in 2 weeks' time. Let's have a look at the market. Southern Speed, the favourite, at $2.90, Managar at $4 and Illo at $6. Nick?
I think Southern Speed's one of the better bets on the day. She's returned from a spell in brilliant form since winning the Caulfield Cup with a first up win and then a fast finishing second to Black Caviar. That's more than good enough for mine.
I like Glass Harmonium in this race. I know 1,800 metres first up is a bit of a task, but he did it in the Hollandale, ran second in that year in the Hollandale in the Gold Coast, over 1,800 metres, and ran a very good race behind Latorio first up last time in the Maccabi Diva, so that was over 1,600. I don't think it'll be too much of an issue for him. He'll go for make his own luck, and he's always a horse I like to back each way. So Glass Harmonium for me, but obviously the class factor is Southern Speed. Let's have a look at what some of the contenders for this year's Peter Young Stakes had to say about their chances. Also ride Southern Speed, 2 terrific runs back after winning the Caulfield Cup, obviously won first up and then didn't lose any admirers, finishing second to Black Caviar last time.
No, she was great last time. I thought she was better second up than what she was first up, and working her this morning, she's really happy. She's going great, and I'm looking forward to stretching it over to 1,800 metres.
Initially, Managar was probably going to have the week off and go straight to the Australia Cup, but he's thrived in the stable, so rather than train the hell out of him, I think he can go to the races again, and we learn a little bit more about him, and Luke probably does as a rider also. But he's really pleased us no end, and he's come on very well. Worked good, solid here this morning.
All right, let's recap our tips for this race. Starting off with me, I went with Managar. Nick?
I'm getting on SS, Southern Speed.
Glass Harmonium.
And Steph, we have to give Steph's tip too. She went with Illo. Cool. All right, well, that wraps up our preview of this weekend's Melbourne races. Stick around though, because when we return, we'll recap our best bets and our roughies, as well as tip against Nick. See you then.
Sportingbet is built by punters for punters, so you get the very best experience. At Sportingbet, you can expect more from the latest in customised betting with black books, favourites and iForm. Plus, Sportingbet covers all the exotics, including trifectas, quinellas, exactas and first four. Bet fast online or at sbet.mobi on your mobile, anytime, anywhere. That's why there's no better bet than a Sportingbet.
Summer is more than just barbecues. It's Caulfield Summer Racing. Don't miss the Patnack Farm Blue Diamond Stakes, 3 Group 1 races, Blue Diamond Fashion Stakes, and see Black Caviar Farewell Melbourne. Caulfield Summer Racing. Book now.
Welcome back to Chewing the Fat. Well, unfortunately, Kyra from Kerrang wasn't able to beat Nick in our Tip Against Nick segment. So let's hope this week's contestant, Mari from Essendon, can come up with the goods.
Now, if you want to see her tips, how would you go about doing that?
Well, I think you log on to our Facebook page or follow us on Twitter, or do both.
I think do both. That sounds like a wonderful idea.
Both do.
And during your lunch break, as most people are doing anyway, Facebook and Twitter, always a good way to kill some time.
Not just kill time in this day and age. Twitter's a great way to get the news. I'd say probably the most effective way to get the news.
Very
How I
true.
learned that Kevin Rudd was sacked. So.
There we go.
Now, Nick, who have you tipped?
Well, for all my tips, you can pick up any Herald Sun Friday or Saturday for all the tips in all 9 races, but obviously I've given 6 of the tips here on Chewing the Fat today.
Well, speaking of which, let's recap our best bets and roughies for the weekend, starting off with you, Nick.
I'm going to have Soft Sands, the Colin Little filly, as my best bet for the day. I thought she was brilliant last start at Caulfield when she was a ridiculous price. Isn't hindsight a wonderful thing? I think she'll be very hard to beat again. Damien Oliver sticks with her, and she's my best bet for the day.
Best roughie?
Best roughie, a horse in the lucky last called Fashion, who was scratched from Sandown on Wednesday in a very winnable race. She was heavily backed to win the race at Sandown. Connection decided to scratch her and save for Saturday. I think that's always a good push. Currently about $16 on the fixed odds. Get on.
Oh, awesome. Okay, Edward?
Samaretti just looks too good to be true in the Blue Diamond. I think she'll win and win very comfortably. And great for Mick Price, who got stripped of the race in 2003 controversially with Rodine. So that'll be a really good story. I'm going for, I like Kurtana each way, but my best roughie for the day's a horse early on called Graskop. Like the way it hit the line last time at Caulfield. I actually was really surprised when I jumped on the tab website today and saw $7. I think that's really good odds for her. So I'd be jumping on Graskop.
Yeah, I agree. I think I've got Graskop on top as well. It does seem over the odds, and she's been racing well. And it's been heavily backed every start, which is always a good push from some stables.
And considering other horses in the race, like say Zabillionaire, that are more fancied in the betting, are going to be looking for further than the distance on Saturday, I think she's definitely one for
Oh, I think we've found one. I'm twirling the mustache.
Let's just wait, because
Hey.
I haven't given my best bet in Ruffy.
Well,
and
what
we
have you
all
got?
know
Come on, Wonder
how
Woman's
important
tips
that
are.
is.
Wonder Woman's tips.
Okey
Show us
doke.
your tips.
Best bet is Members Joy, and that's an each-way bet. Because a little spy told me that it ran its last 400 in 22 at Caulfield.
Did you say your best bet? Mm-hmm. Did I hear correctly? Mm-hmm. What odds is that, Edward?
Decent odds.
Listen,
Cricket
it is
score
my
odds.
best bet. You do not question my best bet. Best Ruffy, race 8, number 3, Moraine.
Moraine, the horse that was famously scratched from the Melbourne Cup last year.
Yeah.
Hence the saying
Last year, Nick.
treated
last
like a
year.
scratching.
Okay, now let's go through Steph's best bet and best Ruffy. Steph's gone with race 3, number 1, Spectre as her best bet, and her best Ruffy, race 8, number 6, Cannonball.
I'll be running around like a cannonball at Caulfield on Saturday if it gets up.
Oh.
Yes, no, the former American galloper now. Some bad news for the male and a couple female viewers who might swing that way as well, that you won't be joining us on the couch next week.
No, I won't be here next week. It's bad news for me, though, because we've got someone pretty special coming in next week.
We certainly do. We're joined next week on the couch by Danny Nikolic, the always entertaining top jockey, so he's going to be fantastic to have. I can't wait for that. Edward Sadler and myself will be on the couch with Bree Lachlan, so this weekend, if you're not doing anything, get to Caulfield. It's going to be a great day's racing, and everything you win at the races on Saturday from following our tips on Chewing the Fat, take to the sales, the English sales this Sunday. Buy up, could buy yourself the next black caviar.
Or a Shetland pony.
Possibly. So join us again next week when we're joined on the couch with Danny Nikolic. You've been watching Chewing the Fat, thanks to Sporting Bet.
This program is proudly brought to you by Sporting Bet.